Hi everyone, welcome back to another song and character challenge. This is a series where I'm going to be making a song and then designing a character based on that song, all inspired by the 3 emoji challenge. I'm trying to get most of my inspiration from just 3 emojis, which is going to be a really fun limitation that I'm going to try and carry throughout this series. This time, the emojis are the unicorn, pill, and whirlpool, suggested by Salem So Based. Thank you so much for the suggestion. There were a lot of really cool suggestions in the comments from last time, so I'm going to try and choose one of those for the next one too. Starting out in my usual way here, I'm just going to lay down a bass just to get a feel for the song, and it's going to decide the whole structure of what it's going to look like. Around here, I'm just going to get into a melody now. This is going to be something that sounds a little strange to sort of get a woozy effect, which is mainly inspired by that pill emoji. I'm going to get into the emoji meanings a little bit more in the character section, but I was primarily inspired by the unicorn and whirlpool for this episode, which is funny because I'm usually drawn to medic or nurse, doctor characters. So I think it was good to try something new instead of defaulting to my usual pill emoji inspiration. Getting a beat in there now. I'm a sucker for a break loop. They sound really good layered with a standard drum and snare sample pattern underneath of that. Around here, I really wanted to get some sort of bell arpeggio to get a swirling underwater sound, and I mainly associate arpeggios with whirlpools because of the song Rue the Whirl by Boards of Canada. I wanted to add some really cool effects on this to give it a progressing sound throughout the section so that it's always interesting, it's always changing. While we're jamming here, I did want to talk a little bit about some of my favorite artists right now and some of their new releases. Just in the last month or so, we got new Ashniko, Michaela Geyer, Poppy, and some new Magdalena Bay singles I've been dropping every few weeks, which is crazy. You may not be able to hear their influence on me as an artist because I do mainly just make electronic whatever music. But they're all definitely inspirations for me creatively, and I just really wanted to give them a shout out. And if there are any other fans of those artists, definitely let me know. I can try to do more inspired beats, but there's not a world where I can ever make something that sounds remotely close. Here, I wanted to add an effect on the bass in the same way that I was adding some to the arpeggio earlier. I just wanted to give it a more interesting sound to sort of highlight its presence, and rather than staying in the background. I usually just keep my bass as a supporting role, but I've been trying to let it shine more recently, which is super helpful when you need a break in between sections or just melodies in general. A lot of my producer friends really like to highlight the bass, and I just kind of let it drown. egg shakers to the arpeggio section from earlier to give it more of a build up to the new section and just something to bob your head to. I really like this song much better than the last one just because I feel like it matches the emoji inspirations more and the character too. In the last video, I felt like the song was cool, but I didn't do a good enough job incorporating the vibes of the emojis or honestly the character. It kind of just felt like a standalone thing. So I wanted to just do a better job incorporating that this time. I also put the emojis on screen the entire time, which I think helped give me inspiration for the sound and the looks like the entire time, rather than just getting lost in the sauce and wandering off path. And hopefully that helps for the viewers too, just to like have that consistency of what the inspiration is. So here I'm developing a melody that I end up really liking, but I'm not going to show too much of it because, one, I'm using the default harmless instrument in the beginning, which is honestly really just like hard to listen to, like it's really grating, so I tried to cut most of that out. But also two, I do like to leave some of the melodies out of the progress portion so that there's still new morsels to enjoy during the reveal. Finally, in the last couple minutes here, I just wanted to add even more of a magic vibe to bring in that unicorn a little bit more. So I decided to record one of my all-time favorite sound effects from Sailor Moon and use that in the song to harness true magical vibes. And that's the song done. Let's move on to the character. So right off the bat, the idea that I had for this one with the emoji inspirations was some sort of like coastal unicorn hybrid who was in the midst of some sort of like war or extinction of her kind, and she has become an impromptu like rescue team for unicorns that are suffering from the consequences of this conflict. The whole concept here was going to be some sort of thing where unicorns are maybe being hunted down for their horns or something to be sold on the black market. So their horns are being cut off and removed, and her goal is to find those hunters, rescue the unicorn's horns, and use some form of magic and medicine to restore the unicorn's horns. The reason why she was spared from this conflict is because as a coastal unicorn, she has a coral horn, which is deemed less valuable to these hunters. But what they don't know is that she does possess the magic to help save these other unicorns. So that was like the sort of vibe here. I was trying to take most of my inspiration, again, like I said, from that unicorn and whirlpool emoji, which is where like the coastal vibes are coming from. But I did want to take most of her story from that pill emoji, which would come from her like restoration magic. And that's just because I struggled a little bit here to incorporate that like pill into the actual character design. So I thought if I could somehow bring that back with her story, that would help like make up for it. I am trying to do some color tests. It does change just a little bit because I end up hating some of the sections here. I struggle a lot with getting her legs right. I was using a reference for the pose. I wanted to do a more interesting pose than I did last time, just to make these more standalone pieces than just like character art. But oh my god, it was impossible to get the legs right. And I also ended up deciding that I wanted to give her like hooves, because I thought that'd be kind of cute, like some sort of hooves with like a webbing in them to bring back that like ocean vibe. Just getting like the poses right and getting the structure of everything. Like I tried my best here, but if you have any suggestions on how to draw legs better, be my guest. Speaking of the leg area, I also struggled big time with her skirt. I had to like really speed up that section just because of how impossible it was for me to get it right. That's probably coming down to the fact that for my sketch, it was just a bunch of scribbles, and so when it was actually time to do the line art, I was flailing. But I do really like what I ended up doing for that skirt, just because I feel like it adds a little bit more of structure and it gives her more of an armor. I was trying to go for some sort of leather armor look without sacrificing the beauty and like princess vibes of being a unicorn. You can also tell that her long purple hair with the giant braid was definitely inspired by Rumi from K-pop Demon Hunters. She's always on my mind, I can't help it. So this is when I decided that I really hated the stupid duffel bag that I gave her in the sketch. It was lame. It just looked like a costume piece rather than an actual like character item. And it was also kind of messing with the silhouette. I did not like what that entire region looked like with the massive duffel bag. I thought it looked strange. So I wanted to try and do a bit more of a clearer silhouette while still giving her like a rescuer vibe. So I gave her like an impromptu like bag of whatever her like medicine that she uses is. Probably some sort of like coral or herbs from her region. Coupled with the fact that she does make a necklace from those unicorn's horns that she is trying to rescue, which is absolutely 100%, like I can't even lie, inspired by all of the Pinkamena fan art. I see you, I love you, I respect you, that was my childhood, thank you. Okay, so back to that dynamic pose. I much prefer the arm up, like she's like trying to like throw it to someone in the distance rather than just like running with a massive duffel bag. And I also got to like repose the braid, which I think helped a lot with the overall silhouette as well. I also tried to make her tail look like a little mermaid tail with like the cut of the ponytail at the end. I thought it looked really cute. Like I didn't want to give her a straight up mermaid tail because again, it was a unicorn emoji. I'm not trying to go full mermaid, but I did want it to at least look like kind of like a fishtail vibe. When I'm going in with the colors, I wanted to have a lot of fun with like her skin texture, since she is supposed to be a little fishy. So I had fun putting in some like watery elements and making her super sparkly. I I just adore her little flower crown of coral. I was originally just going to give her a regular flower crown, but as I was sketching, I was like, oh my god, it would be so cute if it was made of coral. As you can tell, I'm taking a lot of oceanic inspiration. I think her story is super interesting. I would love to expand on it more. If you have any headcanons or suggestions like about what her story might be like or how it might end, or maybe even where she started, I would love to hear some of your ideas about her in the comments. And if you have a name idea for her too, I'd love to hear that. I think if there's one thing I wish I did instead, like looking back on this, I wish I had done some sort of like ocean creature armor instead of like a generic leather armor. I think it would have been cool if maybe it was like seal skin or something. Maybe that's a little extra, or maybe it's a little, I don't know, gruesome, I don't know. But I think it would have been cool to have more of her. I know I did a lot of ocean stuff, but it would have been cool if it felt more purposeful instead of just like, you know, smacking shells on the side of her chest plate. As always, if you liked this episode, please leave a like and a comment if there was anything that you want to point out or just say something that you enjoyed. I always appreciate it. I read every single comment, so I would love to hear your feedback. If you have any ideas for what the next episode should look like, just let me know. Now, on to the reveal. Thank you so much for watching. I'm really excited to continue the series. This episode took a little bit longer than I wanted to come out, but that's sort of what I signed up for when I decided not to do the time limit challenge anymore. It also means that the clips that I have to edit are a lot longer. In total, the song this time took 1 hour and 10 minutes, and the drawing took, I think, around 3 hours. So, yeah, if that tells you a little bit about why this took so long. But yeah, I'm very excited to continue, so thank you so much for sticking around, and I will see you next time.